Okay, it says it's preparing the live stream. Thank you for hanging with me. I don't know what happened. It just went away. Everything closed. All right, let's see. There we go. Now, let me share my screen again. And I hope. All right, let's see. Okay, let me just double check one more thing. Okay, let's get back into the profit potential. It looks like it opened up a new stream on YouTube. So I lost the people, but maybe they will see that I'm streaming over here. And for Eddie, for your sake, I'm going to keep going. So let's look at this profit potential. Okay, on the left-hand side, we have a single family rental. And the single family rental is a 4 bedroom. That's why I have the 4 squares there, 4 bedroom. And this is the house that I was renting out for $2,000 a month. So $2,000 a month, I was renting out this single family house. That's typical, depending on where you are in the country. My mortgage on the house was $1,800. So my mortgage was $1,800 and I was renting it out for $2,000. That means that my profit was $200 a month. Everybody's tracking. My profit was $200 a month. So now we're going to compare that to a co-living rental. Okay, so let me go to the next slide. Okay, good. I see the people on YouTube are back. All right, so we are going to compare that same house to a co-living rental. So when you have a co-living rental, you can either rent it out with a private room or you can do shared rooms. I teach both models in my coaching program. So with the model that I'm showing right now on the screen on your right-hand side, we put two beds in each of the rooms. So with 2 beds in each of the rooms, how many beds do you have? You have 8 beds, right? Because it was a 4 bedroom house. You're putting 2 beds into each bedroom. So that's 8 beds. Now, being very conservative and saying that you're going to rent out each bed for $500 a month, that is actually pretty low for 2025. No matter where you are in the country, it probably is more like, well, I won't say no matter where, because there are some little like hole in the wall places where maybe 500 is fine. But most places are 600 on the low end. Okay, 600, 650, 700. That is the norm for a shared bedroom. If you get to some place like Los Angeles, where I live, it was closer to 1,000. It's 900 for a shared bedroom. But anyhow, let's say you have your 8 beds, $500 a month. That's $4,000 gross. That's shared rooms in a 4 bedroom house. So if you compare $200 to $2,000, what is that? That is 10x. You renting it out with just single family home, that's $200 versus $2,200. That's more than 10 times the profit if you do the co-living rental model. So now let's look at if you rent it out at $600 a month per bed. $600 a month per bed. That is $4,800 gross. That is shared rooms in a 4 bedroom house. So 4,800. Now let's go ahead and subtract that 1,800, which was the mortgage on the house. Subtract the 1,800. Now you're making even more than 10x. Okay, you're comparing $200 when it was a single family home to $3,000 profit. Now let's go to my last model. My last example is 8 beds charging $650 a month. So if you're charging $650 a month, you're grossing $5,200 a month. That's shared rooms in a 4 bedroom house. And then let's subtract that $1,800 for the mortgage or rent, and it's $3,400 that you're making versus that 200, that little measly 200 that you were making when it was a single family home. But wait, didn't you say that we're covering the utilities? I don't know if I said that, but yes, in a co-living house, you, the operator or the landlord, you would cover the electric, gas, water, and internet because it would be too hard to have like somebody pay a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So you would just cover the electric, gas, water, and internet. So you make sure that the price that you're charging per bed can allow you to cover that and you still make money. But even if you deduct the cost of the utilities, you are still bringing in 10x the amount of a regular single family home. When I first opened my house, my very first group home that I opened had 15 beds. And I started out charging $560 per month per bed. So 15 times $560 is $8,400. My mortgage on that house was about $2,000. So if you deduct another, so you deducted $2,000 for the mortgage, deduct another 1,000 for utilities, I'm still profiting about $5,000, more than $5,000 a month. And that's on one property. That's not on a job. That's not on a W-2. That's on one property. But you also might be thinking, okay, that's cool, but I don't want the headache of dealing with that many people's issues. And I hear you. So that's why I outsource my headache. Outsourcing comes in the last lesson, the last module of my coaching program. And that's the autopilot part. That's why I call it Group Home on Autopilot. I show you how to find and hire an operations manager. And he or she gets a cut of the money, but you're still making money. Even if my operations manager is making money, I'm still making money. And I'm still making 10 times the amount of money that I was making on that single family home. And like I said, I foresee more working class people moving into co-living as a way to reduce their living costs. I mean, Pad Split is a perfect example. They have thousands and thousands of people on their platform and properties on their platform because working class people are going into co-living. They said that their average age of their people is like 34 and they're all working class people. And when you're marketing to working class people, you can charge more. They probably won't want to share a bedroom, but maybe they'll pay $1,000 for a private room or even more for a private room, depending on where you are in the country. All right, let me just make sure that people, okay, hey, Miss J, make sure that people have come over from the other stream. They didn't, but that's okay. We're going to keep it moving. All right, why should you even listen to me? Why should you even listen to me? I know you guys can read, so I'm going to have you read the slide, but I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I have a business called Roundtable Group Homes or Co-Living Properties in San Antonio, Texas. I live in Los Angeles, California. People started asking me to help them open their group homes. And so I started teaching people, basically coaching people on how to open their group homes. Then I packaged up all my information into a nice course. And now that's what I do. I help aspiring group home operators start and run their own group homes so that they can create a profitable yet purpose-driven business without getting overwhelmed by the process. 5 years ago is when I started. I was looking for a side hustle that would bring me the most profit, but with the least amount of work. I'm not against work. I'm used to hard work. I was in the military for 6 years. I've been to Iraq. I've seen the world. I just want to live my best life in California. So I did go to an assisted living training. I went to an assisted living live in-person class, and I learned a ton of information. And I found out that I needed to become certified for my state. So I went through that certification process. I went through the CALM certification, it's Certified Assisted Living Manager, CALM, for Texas. And then I started looking at assisted living properties that were already up and running that I could just purchase. And so I was this close to buying an assisted living that was already running and I was going to buy it. But then I had some life changes happen. I lost my sister and I got custody of her two daughters. And at that point, I just did not want the responsibility of having an assisted living house because I did not want to end up on the news. Because I can't be there and watch what's going on, then I just didn't feel comfortable. And I knew I would have to pay a nurse and pay a cook and all these other things and also get inspected and all that. And I did not want that stress. So I pulled out of the deal and I started looking into independent living. And my good friend Julie said, why not get into independent living, which I had never heard of before. Because I thought if it's unlicensed, which is what I'm teaching, unlicensed, I thought unlicensed means illegal. But unlicensed does not mean illegal. Unlicensed just means you don't need a license. It's just providing housing. So I learned all about independent living, did all my research, and I bought a fixer-upper property in Texas. It could have been a huge teardown because it was terrible. So I spent all the money I had on renovating this house. I cashed out my retirement plan, renovated the house, and it was huge. It was a huge 7-bedroom house. And that's when I opened my first independent co-living home. So doing that project and opening that house and filling those beds so fast gave me so much confidence. And I was like, okay, I can do this again. So I stacked up that money. I bought another house, stacked up that money, bought another house. So then I had so much confidence and I had all this extra money coming in on the side of my W-2 job. And I decided that this is what I want to do. So I started coaching people. So now that's what I do, coach people. Okay, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. So you are on this call for a reason. You are ready to bet on you. Maybe I was ready to bet on me when I cashed out my retirement. So I bet you're ready to bet on you. Maybe you want more income or more time freedom, more family time. Maybe you want to make a difference in this affordable housing crisis because it is a crisis. Maybe you want financial security and a retirement plan that you are in control of, or the tax benefits of having a legit business. You want to maybe enjoy your work. Whatever it is, I want you to think about your why. Like, why are you on this call today? Think about your why. And then also, I want you to think about your life vision. What is your why? Like, what do you think your life is going to look like a year from now if you decide to move forward, take action? If you decide to move forward and take action and bet on you and open up your own co-living house and start getting that $2,000 a month extra on the side of your job, how is that going to change your life? And how is that going to change your family's life? Just think about what that extra 2,000 a month would do for you. That's with one house. And with what I teach you in my coaching program, you will easily have more than one house because you will get through all of the learning curve of opening your first house. And then after that, you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready for my second. Okay, I'm ready for my third. There are people who have 15 houses doing this co-living model, and that's what they live on. They fired their day job because they live off of this. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this is what you came for. This is my proven system. This is the system right here to open and operate a profitable group home. And how do I know this works? I know it works because I have used this exact model to open all 3 of my group homes. And I'm going to show you, if you want to take a screenshot, you can. I'm not gatekeeping anything here. This is the 6 steps to open your group home. And I'm about to show you on the next slide, my client, Kenya. She has a little video where she did her open house. She signed the lease on her property. And by the way, you heard that right. She signed the lease. She does not own the property. She's doing this business and making $2,000 a month. You can rent a property from someone and still do this business and still make money. I happen to buy all 3 of my properties, but you don't have to do that. I teach you in my program how to find willing landlords, and you just need permission from them to sublease. You need permission to sublease, and then you can do this same business out of a rented property. So on the next slide, I will show you my client, Kenya. She signed the lease on her property during week 3 or 4 of my 6-week program. And then she had her open house during week 6. It's a 6-week program. She did her open house during the last week, and she filled 5 of her 9 beds. Also on my YouTube channel, I have an extensive interview that I did with Kenya because I'm so proud of her. So let's get into the video. All right. And like I said, she does not own that house. That house is a rental and she's doing great. All right, let's talk about step one. So, step one of the six steps to opening your group home is your mindset. You got to get your mind right because you need positivity, determination, and you need a CEO mindset. The CEO mindset is strategic, decisive, and it's growth oriented. It's about outsourcing the things you don't want to do. It's about using a calendar. It's about being obsessed with whatever your win is. Think about who can do this for me and how can I pay for a shortcut? Not now I have to do XYZ. No, how can I get XYZ done? Who can do this for me? It's about setting up systems, not reinventing the wheel. With every task I do, if I don't want to do it, I ask myself, how can I never do that again? Or how can I make it easier for the next time? Or how can I automate it? That's the CEO mindset. And it's the reason why it's the first thing because it is the foundation. You have to have that your mind right. You have to have that CEO mindset before you can move on to the next steps. So that's step one. Step two is setting up the business. This is about doing market research for your area. You need to know how much is a shared bedroom in your local area, wherever you want to open your group home. How much are shared bedrooms going for? How much are private bedrooms going for? How much is the rental market? So, how much is a 4-bedroom house or more? I always say get 4 bedrooms or more. So, you got to do that market research and see what is available in your area and how much money people are actually charging in your area for shared housing like this. You also have to go into the legal part. You don't have to set up an LLC because you're essentially just a landlord. But when you get an LLC, now you have a legit business. And I want you to have a legit business because you can take advantage of tax breaks. I am not an accountant. I am not a tax professional, but I will tell you, when you have a legit business, you can take advantage of all kinds of tax breaks. And you can get a lawyer to do that for you. You can go on like LegalZoom or there's another site that I've seen the commercials for on YouTube. I think Taylor Brands or something. Get them to set up your LLC for you. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do the research. Pay somebody to do that. There's always paying for a shortcut. Every step with my coaching clients, every step we take, I tell them how to do it themselves and I tell them how to pay for a shortcut. The biggest tax breaks and deductions are not for employees. The biggest tax breaks and deductions are for business owners. That's why I want you to go legit and get an actual LLC. But you don't have to. You don't have to because you're just a landlord. But go ahead and get that LLC. When you set up your business the right way, you can write off as tax deductions everything. You can write off your laptop, your phone, your home office, your internet, your business travel. When I travel to check on my houses, that whole trip is a tax deduction. So my flight, my Lyft, my rental car, my hotel, that whole trip is a tax deduction because I'm checking on my business. So you can deduct expenses, even expenses that you're paying for right now, stuff that you're already paying for. I can't run my business without internet. So my house has to have internet. So my internet is a business tax deduction. You can also, like I said, I'm not a tax professional. Just I'm telling you how I run my business. You can also qualify for 100% depreciation on things like computers and cars. And there's all kinds of special tax credits that are only available to business owners. So that's money back in your pocket, but only if you know how to take advantage of it. So that's why I tell you to get your business set up. And then you also need to get a business bank account too. Oh, and also on the business part, there's the business plan. You don't have to have a business plan. There's certain things, like if you're applying for certain grants and things like that, where you do need a business plan, but you don't need one. But I do give you one in my coaching program. I give you a business plan. All right, step three. Step three is getting the house. So you need to identify properties that would be good for a group home or for co-living. And I get a question all the time, what kind of house is good for this? What kind of house should I look for? I'll tell you right now. You need at least 4 bedrooms, at least 4 bedrooms. You get a 3 bedroom, your profit is going to shrink really, really fast. It's going to be small. So get at least 4 bedrooms. If you own the house, you can put walls up and make other bedrooms. If you don't own the house, then just get you a house that has at least 4 bedrooms. I also say no carpet because carpet just gets dirty really fast. So no carpet, no HOA, so no homeowners association. And the reason is because they will give you a hard time, not because it's illegal, but they will give you a hard time just because they don't want it in their backyard. You've probably heard of NIMBY, not in my backyard. So that's what you'll deal with the HOA. So just don't even go there. Although most of the people who you house, well, people who I house in my demographics that I house are covered by Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, which is the Fair Housing Act. So if things like age, race, if they had any kind of disability, including addiction, there are a lot of things that they'd be covered. So the HOA would lose if we did go to court. But I just don't want you to have to deal with that. I don't want you to have to deal with the HOA. So just no HOA. And also getting the house. So you contact landlords. If you are looking to rent a house, you contact landlords. And I have a script that I give you in my coaching program to reach out to landlords and see if they're willing to allow you to sublease their house. And all you need is permission from them to sublease. And also setting up the house. So you don't have to furnish the entire house right away. You can furnish the common areas and then 1 bedroom and take pictures of the common areas, take pictures of that bedroom, and then mark it really hard and have an open house event, which I teach you in my coaching program as well. Okay. Oh, good. You made it over. I see you guys made it over to the YouTube. I appreciate that. Cool, cool. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So we talked about mindset. We talked about setting up the business. We talked about getting the house. Number 4 is marketing. So this is actually your most important step because if you don't fill the beds, then you don't have a business. So this is so important, marketing. You've got to fill those beds. Marketing materials, I'm going to go into that in a second, and then networking. So what I teach you in my coaching program is to connect with caseworkers, placement agents, and the people who actually need the housing. And I also teach you what marketing materials work, what marketing materials you need to spend some money on, like business cards, flyers. You can do a lot of these things digitally. I also teach you how to have a $50 open house, and I teach you how to do a year of emails in 1 day. So for my people who can chat, because I don't think the Zoom has the chat on it. For my people who can chat, do you think you can find 6 to 8 people in your chosen city who are willing to share a room and pay one all-inclusive low rate for their monthly rent? Do you think there are 6 people or 8 people in your chosen city who would live like this in co-living? I'm going to wait because there is a little delay. Give me a yes in the chat if you think you can find 8 people. 8 people who would be willing to live in a place like this. All right, there's a lag, and I'm okay. There we go. I was going to say maybe I lost them. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so now we have covered 4 of the 6 steps, and I'm explaining at a very surface level right now. But you, with what I'm giving you in this masterclass, you can take these steps and you can open your group home. You can open your group home. But I know that somebody in this masterclass wants to dive deeper. So before we move on to the last 2 steps in the system, is it okay if I take a couple minutes to share how I serve people on a deeper level? Put a yes in the chat if it's okay. It's going to be perfect for some of you. It is not going to be for all of you, but it's what I cover in my coaching program. All right. So now that I've got your permission, let's go into this real quick. So, like I said, this may not be for everybody, but it might be perfect for somebody here. All of this would be easier if you had a mentor, if you had somebody who's been there, done that, still doing it, checklists, templates, someone to hold you accountable. And imagine 6 weeks from now, you have a property business on the side of whatever you do right now in your day job that profits an extra $2,000 a month for you and your family. And it's a business that changes lives and helps with this affordable housing crisis that I talked about, plus more time and more energy for the things that matter the most to you. So this is where my coaching program comes in. In this masterclass, I'm teaching you the 6 steps to open your group home. But in my coaching program, I teach you how to do it in 6 weeks. So it's a 6-week startup intensive coaching program. And it's designed to change your life and the lives of other people in only 6 weeks. So here's my big invitation. My invitation is to book a call with me. I help people open their money-making group home in only 6 weeks because you need a strategy and you need a blueprint. You need a system and structure and accountability. I'll give you another stat. So the American Society of Training and Development did a study. They said that people who write down their goals and don't mention their goals to anyone are not likely to reach their goals. But when you announce your goal to a coach or to a trusted friend, you are 65% more likely to achieve your goal. When you give a weekly progress report to a coach or a friend, you are 95% more likely to achieve your goal. So it's crucial. I like that 95%. It's crucial to build a support system. So this slide shows you what you get in my coaching program. You get the startup workbook with the templates, scripts, checklists, personalized accountability, feedback, and strategy. You get direct access to me, somebody who has launched multiple group homes. You get a custom to-do list that's built around your timeline and your goals. And you get lifetime access to the Group Home on Autopilot course. It's an online course with video modules, worksheets, scripts, template, everything. So it would highly benefit you if you had this customized checklist with exactly how you could open a profitable group home in 6 weeks. If I taught you exactly how to profit $2,000 a month for the rest of your life, how much would that be worth to you? How much would it be worth to you? You don't have to answer that, but how much would it be worth to you? So who's my program for? Here it is on the slide. You can read it yourself, but hop on a call with me and see how I can help you to get your group home open and making money in 6 weeks. My links are everywhere, but I'm going to put it actually in the chat. I just got to copy paste it. I'm going to put it in the chat on Zoom and on YouTube. I'll put the link. I am going to show the link on the next slide, but I got to put the link to my calendar. So my calendar's up to date, so you can go ahead and book your call with me. Let me, because I had that little issue with the internet, I got to look at my calendar link again so I can put it in the chat. And then here's the link right here, but I'm gonna put it in the chat though. Copy. All right, let's boom. And I'm gonna pin this. All right, cool. And also, if you have not signed up to receive my emails, I need you to do that. What are you doing? Group home on autopilot.com. Sign up so that I can keep you up to date on everything. Okay, so let's go back to myth busting real quick. Let's do some myth busting. All right, false beliefs. I need to own a house to have a group home. You do not need to own a house to have a group home. You can rent a property and still have this co-living or group home. Do you think every doctor who owns the building that she operates out of? She doesn't. She rents it. So you just have to find a willing landlord. And plus, remember my client, Kenya? She does not own that house. In my network, I also have a business that specialize. I don't have it. I know of a business that specializes in finding properties and willing landlords for co-living homes. So that's another way that you can pay for a shortcut. You can just go to this company, ask them to find you a willing landlord in your chosen city, and they will find you a willing landlord for you. That's a way to pay. But I teach you also in my program how to find those willing landlords yourself. And I give you the scripts to send out to them, to email them and tell them what you plan on doing and how you guys can work it out that way. Okay, another false belief. Homeless people don't have any income. Well, you don't have to have homeless people as your only demographic, first of all, but I have a lot of people in my homes. I do cater to the lower income demographic and people who were homeless and people who have felony convictions and things like that. But many of them, most of them receive Social Security money or they receive money from the VA. They just don't have enough money to get their own place. And also more working class people are considering co-living too. So like I said, my residents are on Social Security, they're on other welfare, and they just live there to reduce their costs. Okay, false belief. It's going to be a full-time job. No, not the way I teach it. So I have had a full-time job, excuse me, this entire time that I've had my group homes until July. That's when I stopped having my full-time job. But I have had a full-time job this entire time, and I was an executive, and I was still doing my group homes. And the way I teach it is that you focus on efficiencies and you focus on working on the business, not in the business. And I teach you how to pay for shortcuts as well. And then lastly, I won't be able to fill the beds. So I teach you how to fill the beds. My client, Kenya, for example, filled 5 of her 9 beds in 1 week. So you will fill the beds. All right, here is the link to book that call. I pinned it in the YouTube and I'm going to put it in the Zoom as well. Okay, now let's get back to the masterclass. Let's get back to the proven system. So we've talked about mindset. We talked about setting up the business, getting the house, marketing, but what about the day-to-day operations? I've got you on the day-to-day operations. So there's intake, there's setting expectations and house rules, and then we talk about common challenges. So ways to collect rent. Let me give you a gem real quick. So there's a lot of different ways to collect the rent. They're all at different levels of risk. So private pay is the most risky. That's where the person comes in and they're like, I have a job up the street and I'll just pay you. That's the most risk because you don't know if they're actually going to pay you or not. And then there's a family member pays. So you could have the family member co-sign the lease and say that they are responsible for paying. You can also ask that family member to sign up for auto pay. And in the tenant management system that I use, which is called Rent Ready, I can set up auto pay, and the family member can set up auto pay to make sure that I'm getting my money. And then also you can have your residents go through a representative payee company, representative payee. So representative payee companies receive the check for that person, like from Social Security. They receive the check from that person. And then the representative payee company pays you, the landlord. And the representative payee a company also gives the resident their allowance. And so that's another less risky way. And then you could become the representative payee. Now that's a lot of paperwork. You have to provide quarterly reports to the Social Security office, but you could become that person's representative payee where you receive that person's money directly from Social Security. And then lastly, there is getting paid directly from a sponsoring organization. That's the least risky. That's where a sponsoring organization, usually a nonprofit, will say, we have this person, we have some grant money from the federal government. We're going to pay for this person for 6 months. And they usually write you a check for all 6 months up front. So that's the least risky way. But the bottom line is you choose what payments you will accept. If you don't want to accept Cash App, don't accept Cash App. If you don't want to accept cash, don't accept cash. If you don't like money orders, don't accept money orders. So Rent Ready, my tenant management system, like I said, has auto pay and also has payment reminders. So it sends automatic payment reminders to people. And I can also put in there what the late fees are and the late rules. So it automatically adds the fees to the person. And you just set that up in the beginning. And then as far as paying for a shortcut for the operations part, step 5, I've already documented all my operation stuff. I've documented house rules, intake questionnaire, lease, licensee agreement, house signs, everything you need for the operations, I've already documented. So people who sign up for my coaching program, that's the shortcut that they pay for. I provide all of that to them. So now you've got the house open, you filled the beds, you're pocketing money into a well-oiled machine and we scale it. So let's get to the apex of this pyramid and what makes group home on autopilot different from every other group home training that's out there. Step 6, autopilot. So this is the scaling. Once you get through all those hard knocks and the learning curve of opening your first house, you'll fill it and you will be ready for your next house. But how do you do this? And how do you do it remotely? Furthermore, so toolkit. I give you all of the resources and the tools that make life easier. I give you that full list of all the automation tools and how exactly I use them to make this one of the easiest side hustles ever. I also tell you what my weekly actions are and my monthly actions are, and I teach you how to hire an operations manager. The key to all of this, the key to me having 3 group homes in San Antonio, Texas, while I live in Los Angeles, California, is hiring another me. I hired an operations manager. So in my program, I teach you what to look for, how to find this operations manager, how to train them, and how to pay them. I also teach you about how to handle your accounting in a very systemized way. And what else? I have covered every step. I know I'm talking a mile a minute. I'm trying to keep it at an hour. I have covered all of the steps to take you from A to Z to open your own profitable group home. This is the 6 steps. If you want to take a screenshot, and hopefully you got something out of this masterclass. In case you missed the full first invitation, I'm going to take a couple minutes to show you again how I can help with my coaching program. And like I said before, this might not be for everybody, but it might be perfect for some of you who are here. This is my Startup Intensive Group Home on Autopilot course. And when you sign up for the course, you get all of these things that are on the slide here. You also get access to me. I meet with you every week for 6 weeks, and I teach you A to Z how to open your group home. I give you all the shortcuts, all the ins and outs, everything I've learned over the past 5 years. So people say knowledge is what? Knowledge is power, right? But it's really knowledge plus action equals power. It's the action piece. I used to think if I just had the knowledge, I could do it. Like the slides that I showed you today, those are the 6 steps. You got the knowledge. And I used to think that all I needed was the knowledge. But after stumbling for a while, when I was first opening my group home, I paid for a coach. And that was great. That was a great idea. The only problem was that coach had never opened a group home before. So they could help me with certain things, but not everything. And I had detailed questions. And you're probably the same way. That's why you're on this webinar. You have detailed questions and you want to know exactly what to do when this happens. Pros ask who, not how. Like, who can help me do this? Not how can I do this? Who can help me? Execution is what you need. You need somebody who can help you to execute. And that's where I come in. Execution beats knowledge every day of the week. You got to execute. You got to take action. Information alone is not enough. It's not enough to get you there. You have to have some help. And that's where I come in. I got the checklist, the templates. I hold you accountable. I've been there, done that, still doing it. So I help you set up your group home. Okay, here's the link again to book the call. I have posted it in the chat. Okay, I see questions coming in already. Let me just wrap it up so I can get to the Q&A. If you are thinking about booking the call, just book it. just book it because it's free. Okay. The call is free. It's 15 to 30 minutes. It's free. Book the call. See if my program is right for you. I go over all of my pricing and I have payment plans and all of that stuff. And also just keep in mind that with this program, you will be profiting $2,000 a month for the rest of your life or for the rest of however long you want to do this. And it might even be more than 2,000 because you're going to open up at least 3 houses probably. I heard a phrase from this business guru online the other day, Eileen Wilder. She said, procrastination is the assassination of your destination. And I said, "Ooh, that's good. Like, I need to stand procrastination is the assassination of your destination. Do not procrastinate. Book the call. My calendar is up to date. And if you are tired of procrastinating, then type now in the chat. Now, it's the time is now. Now is the time to take that leap. Now is the time to start your business. When is a good time to start making more money? Now. When is the time to start? Now. It's always now. The only limitations that exist are in your own mind. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Let's go to Q&A. Before I go into Q&A, I will close it for the people who want to hop off. In closing, just think back to that vision that you have for your life, the 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. I want to help you get there. I want to help you get there. Money isn't everything, but everything costs money. Okay. Everything costs money. So if you could benefit from an extra $2,000 a month and you are interested in real estate, you're interested in helping people with affordable housing, book the call. And if you're still here in class with me, then something is resonating with you. So go ahead and book the call. Use the link that's in the chat. And thanks for joining my party tonight. Take care of yourself if you're not going to stick around. But for those of you who are, I'm hopping into the Q&A right now. Okay. Okay, let's see. What documents do you have for things like chores, doing laundry, cleaning after themselves, curfew, overnight guests, etc.? All of that is in my operations, which I give over to you in my coaching program. So in the lease, my lease is very long.